Luna de San Pedro y Novicio Anchenta was born on October 23, 1857 and died of a heart attack on December 7, 1899 in Hong Kong. He received his Bachelor of Arts degree from Ateneo de Manila University, and then after, he enrolled in a course at the Manila Academy of Fine Arts. Agustin Saez, a Spanish artist, and Lorenzo Guerrero, a Mexican artist, both influenced him and advised him to continue his studies in Spain. He met a lot of people that influenced his artistic career. However, according to Rizal, it was his brother, Manuel Andres Novicio Luna, who was a greater painter than he was, who encouraged Luna to paint. Luna took Saez and Guerrero's advice and moved to Spain, where he studied at the Escuela de Bellas Artes de San Fernando and met Don Alejo Vera, become his mentor. So Don Alejo Vera accompanied him to Rome, where he was exposed to the Renaissance artist work, which had such an impact on his own artistic career. So Luna's paintings were first displayed outside of Spain in 1881 at the Exposición Nacional de Bellas Artes, an annual exhibition in Madrid. In 1884, he exhibited Spoliarium at the same fair, which won 3 gold medals and earned him critical acclaims. Spoliarium is a life-size piece that is currently on exhibit in the National Museum of Fine Arts main gallery. The 4.22 meters by 7.675 meters, all on a canvas, is considered the largest painting in the country. The painting shows the moment when the last defenders of the ancient Spanish town of Numancia sacrificed their lives instead of being captured by the Romans. The theme is "Better to perish than to be slaves," have inspired Luna to begin work on his greatest masterpiece, starting with the boceto or sketch. Foliarium painting portrays slave gladiators' bodies being dragged out from the arena where they had given their lives to entertain their Roman masters. Spoliarium is an artwork that is biased toward Filipinos and was created to awaken Filipinos from ignorance, blindness, mental darkness, and oppression. The contribution of the Spoliarium painting to the general narrative of Filipino history is, Spoliarium was kind of artwork that appealed to the Filipinos' patriotic needs, on which Rizal and others projected a nationalistic symbolism that inspired the Filipino to stand up against their Spanish colonizers' political oppression. The Blood Compact, or Pacto de Sangre in Spanish and Sanduguan in Filipino, was made in 1886 by a Filipino painter, Juan Luna. The Blood Compact refers to a pledge in 1565 between local leader Sicatuna and Spanish conqueror Legazpi, who arrived on Bohol Island the same year. The two men offered a toast with wine mixed with their own blood as a symbol of their friendship and trust. So in 1904, the painting won the first prize in Paris, France, and at the St. Louis Exposition in the United States. The Blood Compact portrays black and harsh. The only Filipino in the painting was Sicatuna, who has his back turned, while the faces of all the Spaniards, including Legazpi's navigator, which is Augustinian priest Andres de Urdaneta, are clearly noticeable. Sicatuna, on the other hand, is depicted such a great detail which imply a proud pre-conquest, pre-Spanish civilization. In this artwork, we don't witness the actual drinking of the blood, and this is probably what makes his artwork more engaging, because something was left for the imagination. The 2 by 3 meters painting is currently displayed in the Malacanang Palace. Juan Luna came to the conclusion that the Blood Compact should be viewed as a pictorial expression of the propaganda movement, which advocated for legal equality between Spaniards and Filipinos rather than a pro-independence image. The contribution of the Blood Compact painting to the general narrative of Philippine history is, during his art study in Europe, he became aware of a rising Filipino national awareness movement. Given his political views and the fact that the Blood Compact was signed in Europe, it's clear that he wanted to communicate to a European audience in the hopes that public opinion would pressure Spain to keep the promise.
Filipinos early English, Spain and the Philippines was made by the great Juan Luna himself way back in 1884. It was made during the height of his career. It was made following the public acclaim for his monumental painting called Spoliarium. It was also said that Luna initially made this painting as a gift for Pedro Paternos, the Prime Minister of the Philippines back then. Now, with a height of 442 centimeters and the width of 167 centimeters, this painting had many versions of it. Regardless the number of versions, it consistently had 2 women in it. 2 women that is wearing traje de mestidas, a clothing that was brought by the Spaniards when they came to the Philippines. Now, the 2 women that can be seen in the painting is a light-skinned one and a brown-skinned one. The light-skinned one obviously had more dominance in it. The light-skinned one was painted in a way that she had broad shoulders and was clearly taller compared to the brown-skinned one, while the brown-skinned one had a simpler traje de mestiza compared to the light-skinned one. Now, if you look into the painting, you'll see that the light-skinned one was holding the brown-skinned one on its back, leading its way to the as if right path. It showed that the light-skinned one was dominant over the brown-skinned one. It was said that this painting depicted or reflected the perspective of Luna on how the Philippines should have a relationship with its colonizers, the Spain. In the painting, the light-skinned woman was a representation of Spain, while the brown-skinned woman was a representation of the Philippines. Once again, Luna caught the attention of every Filipinos, that even Jose Rizal himself commented on it, and Luna himself. Quote-unquote, he said, "Luna has always been Hispanophile. He never wanted to paint anything against the Spaniards. His painting, España y Filipinas, shows them on the way to the Temple of Glory, led by Spain." Now, if Pedro Paternos was really a supporter of Spain and really had an influence on Juan Luna's work, I wouldn't blame Jose Rizal if he saw Luna as a Hispanophile. Hispanophile or not, regardless, the painting España y Filipinas gave hope to the Filipinos. It gave comfort that they needed during the time of the Spaniard colonization. España y Filipina still deserves the attention that it gained back then and still have right now. Portrait of a Lady is a painting that shows a distinguished-looking woman with pinky white skin laying on a bed while holding a rosary. According to art historian Ramon Villegas, the painting was completed by Juan Luna in Paris in 1890. The painting also showcased, according to Villegas, the contrast of seductiveness and the symbol of devotion, which was the rosary. Now, this painting caused a lot of commotion between the art historians. Some speculated that the woman in the painting was Paz, Juan Luna's wife, while some speculated that the painting showed Luna's idealized version of his Spanish-Filipino mestizo wife, Paz, and that it was a portrait of depiction on their marital life. Any speculation that links the woman in the painting and Paz was later on debunked, and according to Paz's relatives, that the woman on the painting was actually Angela Dulce, Luna's favorite subject, and was even the subject of his painting, The Parisian Life. Now, because of these findings, the painting that formerly had the title Minovia or Paz Pardo de Tavera was later on changed to the name of Portrait of a Lady. Now, aside from its noticeable beauty, something about the painting was also noticeable. It was the chain of events that almost every owner of the painting had. Art historian Beto Campo actually discussed the chain of events that almost every owner of the painting had in his book entitled Looking Back. Quote-unquote, Ocampo said that Chisme says that its first owner, Manuel Garcia, was forced to sell it because his business had gone bad, while Betty Bantug Bentines, the second owner, bought it and met a tragic road accident in Tagaytay. While the portrait was then passed through the collection of Tony Nazareno, who also suffered bad luck and sudden illness. So he sold it to Aimee Marcos, who then suffered because of miscarriage. Now, in the Luna Hidalgo exhibition catalog published by the Metropolitan Museum, the provenance given is not Aimee Marcos, but instead to Imelda Marcos, whose fate in 1986 we are all familiar with, the fall of the Marcoses. She then donated the painting to the National Museum. As to where the supposed curse of the painting came from, the historians are still unsure of it, since it is just a mere superstition based on a coincidence. Curse or not, you still can't deny that the beauty of the painting was still there. So it's really unfair for us to blame the painting on the chain of events that happened, but it would be convenient to do so. The Parisian Life is a painting that was made by Juan Luna back in 1892. Now, this painting features an interior scene with a woman seated prominently on a banquet and three men at the far left corner, looking at her. Now, the woman in the painting was wearing a flamboyant hat in a French dress with long sleeves, ruffled ends, and length reaching her ankles. Just like Luna's other work, The Portrait of a Lady, the Parisian Life also had a record of multiple owners before it fell into the hands of our government, before it was put into our museums. Since it had multiple owners before, It also had multiple names that was given by each owner. But most of the titles that was given to the painting was related to the word prostitute. Some of the titles that was given by the previous owners was Inside a Cafe or Interior Don't Cafe. It was even titled in some book The Maids or Untuket. Again, just like in his other works, the Parisian Life also had an award that was given by the World Fair St. Louis Exposition. It was given back in 1904 in US. The painting was awarded with silver medal. Now, according to Prof. Zarudo, an expert on cultural heritage and the museum development, the painting can be interpreted in three ways. First was the literal and popular interpretation, next was the tragic and biographical interpretation, and lastly was the symbolic interpretation. So note that the three men on the far left corner was the representation or an image of our national heroes such as Jose Rizal, Ariston Bautista Lin, and even Luna himself. It was said that the painting was a mix of 19th century French modernity and as well as the state of the Philippines during that time, which again was the colonization of the Spaniards.
Amorsolo was the first national artist of the Philippines. He was also known as the Grand Old Man of the Philippine art or the father of Filipino landscape. He was born in Paco, Manila on May 30, 1892, and at the age of 13, he began training as an apprentice for the influential Philippine artist Fabian de la Rosa, who happened to be the first cousin of his mother. So he was also a dean at UP School of Fine Arts, and for 7 months, he sketched at the museums and on the streets of Madrid and experimenting with the use of color and light. So during that winter, he went to New York and he discovered the post-war Impressionists and Cubists, which became the major influence on his works. So on his return to Manila, he set up his own studio, and during that period, Amorsolo developed the use of light, actually the use of backlight, which is the greatest contribution on the Philippine art or the Philippine painting. So Amorsolo's paintings contains a glow against which the figures are outlined. So at one point of the canvas, there's generally a burst of light that highlights the smallest details. So he also said that he hated gloomy and sad paintings, and he executed only one painting in which rain appears. He has more than 100,000 pieces of painting, and some of them can be seen at museums, and some of them are being auctioned today. So one of the famous works of Fernando Amorsolo was the making of the Philippine flag. So it was an oil painting on canvas. It has a size of 91.44 meters by 12.08 meters. It was also known as Confection de la Standarte Nacional. The painting shows three women who is weaving our national flag, and they were named as Marcela Marino de Agoncillo, which we also refer as the mother of our Philippine flag. She was helped by Lorenza and Delfina Herboso de Natividad, which happened to be her daughters. And it is about how our first Philippine flag was made. So the three ladies was tasked by Emilio Aguinaldo to sew the first official flag of the country and was then raised during the declaration of the Philippine independence. So the three women are sewing passionately, which demonstrate elegance of the Filipino woman, and the painting was not that kind of vibrant in the eyes, but it can set the audience or the viewer's mood into a calm state. So the setting is inside of a house, or which we call as Bahay Kubo. And the main palette used in this painting was brown, red, blue, and yellow. So the mood and visual effect that the painting can be considered is calm and serene. So this artwork has a huge impact or contribution in the Philippine history because it shows how the national flag was handmade, and it reminds us Filipino people that our national flag should be taken care of and given a great importance, for it was made with deep meanings and symbols. So our flag is the symbol of freedom and the unity of our country. So the painting of Amorsolo also shows how calm and carefree the three ladies are while weaving the flag, which represents that our country during that time is indeed free from cruelty and fear. Or Duha painting. It is an oil on canvas mounted on board. It has a size of 66 by 51 centimeters and was painted around 1952. It is a portrait of a legendary warrior princess from Pangasinan folklore. So Princess Orduha was known as a beautiful heroine who fought for her people in Pangasinan in many wars. So the painting shows a half-naked woman with long black hair that was being washed by another lady. So the half-naked woman was Princess Orduha, and Amorsolo again showed his realistic lighting effect in this artwork. So he also portrays a skill in making a female form and feminine features or feminine curves. So its contribution in our history or in the Philippine history is that Amorsolo showed how women in our country are also qualified as a hero. He showed that women in our country are also strong like men in fighting wars and defending their people. They could also rule a kingdom, and since Princess Orduha was part of our folklore or the Pangasinan folklore, it shows how incredible our culture is and it should be valued. So lastly, it shows the unique and beautiful features of a Filipina woman. So the authentic artwork or the authentic painting was approved by Sylvia Amorsolo, which was the daughter of Fernando Amorsolo, and it was auctioned at the Salcedo auctions at the year 2017 for 4 million pesos.
Now for more of Amorsolo's great paintings. First off, we have Fruit Pickers Harvesting Under the Mango Tree. Did you guys know that this painting was done back in 1937? The painting is an oil painting that is 25 1/4 by 37.5 inches in size, and it was done on a canvas. And on the painting, bright colors are prominent, and there is a lot going on every inch of the painting, since Amorsolo did not want to waste any space. This painting shows several Filipinos resting and checking on their harvest for the day, and in a way, it shows how industrious and simple Filipinos are. The next painting we have is Planting Rice with Mayon Volcano. The painting Planting Rice with Mayon Volcano was done back in 1949. For this painting, it was made using the same materials, which are oil painting and canvas, and it measured at 28 by 39.8 inches in size. It currently resides within the Metropolitan Museum of Manila. The painting in particular depicts the resiliency of Filipinos, considering it was painted just 2 years after an incident that involves the Mayon volcano eruption. Amorsolo wanted to show the positive side of Filipinos amidst challenges that we face on a daily basis, even after trying to heal from the wounds that the Second War left on our country. The last painting that we have is Defense of the Filipino Woman's Honor. The painting was made during the heat of the Second World War. It depicted one of the struggles of the Filipinos during the time, and this painting was painted using the same materials, oil painting, and it was done on a canvas as well, and it measured at 35.98 by 60.51 inches, and it is currently located at the National Gallery, Singapore, ever since it was purchased from the Philippines. On this particular painting, it is strongly biased onto the Filipinos, since we were greatly oppressed by the Japanese during the Second World War. This painting signifies the Filipino pride and strength, and it shows that we are even when we are being attacked, we are ready to defend ourselves, even if it costs our life. That is all. Thank you.